82% of Americans who bought a house in 2023 and 2024 regret buying their house. Not only that, but 44% of recent buyers had to take on additional debt just to maintain their lifestyle. And 43% of them have struggled to make mortgage payments on time. So why are all these people buying homes and then regretting it? Have you or someone you know bought a home recently and wish you hadn't? And if you have, put it in the comments and tell us why. Because I gotta tell you, the reasons that these 82% of Americans regret their home, they break my heart. Because most of them could possibly have been avoided. I mean, think about it. Imagine you're in a room with 100 people and 82 of them regret buying their home. Mind-blowing. So today, we're gonna go through the biggest regrets and how you or someone you know can avoid doing them if you're thinking about buying a house. Let's dive right in. This survey was done by Clever Real Estate, who surveyed 920 Americans who recently purchased a home. The biggest regret, 28% of them, was that their home requires too much maintenance. Granted, buying a home is a big deal, and if you're not used to the maintenance of a home or it's not under warranty, it can be overwhelming. Hopefully you did an inspection, but I know in a lot of these really competitive markets, buyers are waiving their inspections so they can be more competitive and win the house. Love that expression, by the way, win the house. You didn't actually win anything. You're spending a lot of money on it, but I digress. But here's the thing, 35% of the people who were surveyed said the seller was not upfront about how much maintenance the home would require. And here's where I started to get angry, not at the buyers, but at the sellers, especially if an inspection wasn't done. In fact, Clever reported that 19% of them waived their inspection contingency. Here where I am in the DC area, we do pre-inspections when we know there's going to be multiple offers and we want to be really competitive. In other words, we do an inspection before writing the offer, so the buyer has professional eyes on the house, but the offer doesn't have an inspection contingency. We also have a mandated utility disclosure where the seller has to provide the buyer the last 12 months of all their utility costs. So it gives the buyer an idea of what it's going to cost them. It's not perfect, every family is different, but it gives them an idea. It's better than nothing. So how can you avoid this regret if you live in an area that doesn't allow pre-inspections? Because by the way, you can always ask if you can do a pre-inspection and they'll tell you if it's allowed or not. Well, for one, you can focus on newer homes that are still under warranty. You can also ask your insurance if there have been any previous claims on the property, because if there have, that could be a red flag. If you have an experienced realtor, a lot of times your realtor can walk around the house and point out some possible problems that could cost you money in the future. I always look at the dates on the furnace, on the hot water heater, on the AC. You look in the showers for dark mold spots. Look at the ceilings for any previous damage. Don't just be enamored with the thought of buying a home. Look closer. Hopefully your realtor will do this, but if not, after watching this video, at least you now know some of the things to look for. And the best advice I have is to talk to the neighbors. Neighbors love to talk. Go to the open house. They always come. And if they're not there, walk around the neighborhood. Bring your dog, bring a friend, bring your partner. You'll start to meet some neighbors, chat with them. Ask them if they know anything about the house. You would be surprised how much neighbors will tell you. And if you bought a flipped home because it looks so pretty, in fact, it looks so good, you didn't even bother to do an inspection, then you will regret it, understandably, if the home costs more to maintain it than you thought. Aesthetic changes can certainly add value and style to a home, but buyers should look beyond the facade to a home's underlying qualities. Cosmetic fixes can mask structural problems that may cause safety hazards and lead to expensive repairs that most buyers want to avoid. And finally, budget for repairs and maintenance before you buy the home. In the Clever study, they said to budget $4,000 a year for repairs and maintenance. I can tell you there have been many years where I spent much less than $4,000 on my home. And then there's been some years, like this past year when I decided to buy a new heat pump, where it cost me a lot more. But most years, it's about just servicing my HVAC system to avoid future problems, making sure my gutters are clean, keeping the trees trimmed and away from the house. Nothing that exceeds $4,000. Next up, 24% of the buyers said the home doesn't meet their needs, and 19% of them said they do not like the location. So I gotta ask, why did you buy the house? What was the rush? Location is the most important criteria of anything. Upgrades, repairs, roofs, all that stuff, that can all be fixed and replaced. But the location, it is what it is. The top priority among the buyers, 55%, was finding a home in a good neighborhood. This breaks my heart. I mean, I get it. You may be priced out of your ideal neighborhood, and you may need to compromise. But to what extent? If you're saying to yourself, this is just a starter home, I'm gonna be here 5 years or less, stop it, because this is a big mistake. You should be able to stay in the home that you bought for at least 10 years. If you choose to move earlier, that's fine, because that's your choice. But you should not feel pressured to have to move because you chose a location that wasn't what you wanted. I had clients recently that wanted to be in a certain school district so badly that they were willing to buy a house that backs to the highway. Before writing that offer, I made sure they understood that when they went to sell that house in the future, they would be automatically limiting their buyer pool for people that were willing to buy a house with that location. Well, the inspection, it wasn't great. We went over all the things they need to do to the house once they bought it to get it into good shape. After running the numbers, it was clear that they would lose money for years before they'd be able to sell it at cost or more between the repairs and the location of the house. So they decided to pass, and I wasn't mad about it. The next regret was spending too much, 23%, and accepting an interest rate too high, also 23%. You're gonna hear that saying, date the rate, marry the house. I hate that saying, and I'm gonna tell you why. I mean, it's true, rates change, and if they do go down, you may be able to refinance. But it's not as easy as, hey, Mr. Lender, give me a new rate because it's lower. It doesn't work that way. Your house has to appraise, and if your house has gone down in value, that may be an issue. Also, it costs money to refinance. It's not free. You gotta take that into account. So just be mindful that the rate you're getting when you buy your house is the rate you may have for a long time, and make sure you can comfortably afford it. It's like dating someone for their potential. Don't do that either, by the way. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. This next one is awful, and the one after it, it's the worst. 21% of the buyers said that their agent pressured them to make an offer, and 22% said they bought too quickly. Oh geez. This is why realtors have a bad rap. Do not ever let your realtor pressure you to make an offer on a house. In fact, if you start to feel pressure, tell them. And if they do it again, fire them. That's right, I'm telling you to fire your realtor. It's just not okay. 71% of Americans who purchased a home in 2023 or 2024 used a realtor, but 42% of them said their realtor was less than helpful. What's more, 54% of recent home buyers think their agent cared more about making a deal than their best interest. It's just not okay. This is your money, your home, not theirs. These pressure cooker realtors, they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about the transaction. Get rid of them. There are plenty of realtors out there that do truly care, I promise you. And if you want me to help you vet them, I'm happy to do that. I put my Calendly link in the pinned comment below. I will vet them. I'll be the bad cop. I'll ask the hard questions. I have no problem doing that. This is something I feel very passionate about. Do not, I repeat, do not let a realtor pressure you to make an offer on a house. And here is the worst regret of them all and can easily be avoided. 17% of them bought their house sight unseen, and 12% of them simply don't like their home. Now I can understand if you live abroad or out of state and you really can't come see the house, this may be your only option. I sold a home to a buyer who was living in Hong Kong and clearly couldn't come see the house. We did a FaceTime tour, we did video, we did a FaceTime inspection, and in this case, it did work out. But there are always intangibles. You can't smell a house through video, and some people are more sensitive than others to smoke or pets or other things. So it's something to keep in mind. So if you are one of those buyers who bought sight unseen and you do regret it, tell us what was so different about the house once you saw it. Put it in the comments. And if you are thinking about doing this, see if there's somebody local that can meet your realtor just to get a second opinion, a second set of eyes on the house, someone that you trust, or even someone that you barely know. 2 sets of eyes is better than 1. And if you live in just a different state, try to fly in, or at least have one of you fly in to get your eyes on it. It is worth it, I promise you. There were some other regrets. 17% of them regretted buying a fixer-upper. Although 34% of shoppers prioritized finding a house that did not need significant renovations, 28% ended up buying a fixer-upper, and more than half of them regretted it. Unless you are a contractor or you have previous experience fixing up homes, stay away from fixer-uppers. Labor and materials are so expensive right now. It is more than likely it will cost you more than you expected to repair and fix up your home. And then, yeah, you're gonna regret it. You just may be better off buying a home that's in better condition. So what do you guys think about these regrets? Have you or someone you know bought a home recently and regretted it? If so, first of all, I'm really sorry that happened, but put it in the comments. Tell us what happened. We can all learn from it, because I'm gonna tell you, there's nothing worse than buying a home, which is probably the biggest expense of your life, and then regretting it. And home prices really haven't gone down a lot, at least not in my area. So it's not like you can just go then and sell it and get out clean. I had a terrible experience recently. One of my worst in the 20 years I've been a realtor. If you missed that video, definitely check it out next. Might be able to learn something. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Bye.